National Signing Day season is here, and these guys have all lived up to the hype. You know them. They're the guys with all the stars next to their names. We'll break down the top prospects across Tampa Bay and Central Florida coming up. Keep an eye on the box scores next season, because these names are going to be on it. These area stars have a chance to make an early impact once they arrive on campus. We'll tell you who they are. Johnny Football was a 3-star recruit in high school. Just proof it's not all about the rankings. Who's been overlooked and who will make their mark at the next level. That's next. Our National Signing Day edition of High School Scoreboard starts right now.
From Bright House Sports Network, your home for high school sports. This is High School Scoreboard.
Oh, it is like Christmas this time of year. A lot of sleepless nights for myself. I'm sure these guys up here as well. That must mean National Signing Day is here, right, fellas?
Yes, sir, it is. Merry Christmas, Bass.
You're right.
Merry Christmas.
Welcome to our special edition of High School Scoreboard alongside our recruiting analysts Preston Jackson and Doug Pugh. I'm Ryan Bass. So much to get to on today's show. Guys, let's begin with the household names, okay? These are the top prospects across the I-4 corridor. I want to start with the wide receivers because it really is an impressive group in Tampa Bay and Orlando this year. I think it's really the class of O-linemen and wide receivers this year. Preston, we've got Artavis Scott and Kathleen's Javon Harrison. We know Scott is going up to Clemson. Harrison, one of those tough guys to cover. What do you like about these two?
Well, it's pick your poison. All right, Artavis Scott got so much press early in his career because of things he's done on the field. Polk County not as strong with the coverage that we've done over the years, so you didn't hear a lot about Javon Harrison. But Artavis Scott brings that playmaking ability. The guy that can take a short play and he can take it the distance. The guy that you can do so much with in special teams, the jet sweeps, the reverses. He can be a wide out and spread the field, take the roof off the defense. Javon Harrison, on the other hand, may be the most explosive wide receiver in the area. The guy that once he's at 3-4 yards, he's almost at top speed. So you like both. You can do so much with both. Javon's about 6'3", Scott about 6'1", but they're both big-time playmakers. You cannot go wrong with either one of these guys.
Yeah, Javon really a guy that made so many plays for that Kathleen team. You see it right there. I mean, the guy was all over the end zone. Central Florida, though, they had their stars at receiver as well. Ryan Sosa flipped from FSU to Florida. This is a guy that had over 4,000 yards in his career, 53 touchdowns. Another guy out of Central Florida, you like Charles Nelson. Let's start with Sosa. What kind of impact, Doug, can he have at the University of Florida?
Well, he quite frankly has an immediate impact on the Florida wide receiving core. He's only one of other 3 wide receivers in the state of Florida with more than 50 touchdowns in their high school football career.
How many touchdowns did you score?
0.
I didn't score any.
Correct. Helps fill a void left by Andre DeBose, Solomon Patton, and of course Trey Burton. And it helps ease the sting of the Erman Lane decommitment as well.
Right.
He's a Kenny Shaw type wide receiver, that frame. 6'1", 180. He's a flyer. He's also a part of a crew. There's like 7 other guys that are of the same size for that offense at Florida. There's only 2 other guys over 6'3" on that wide receiving core for Florida. You get Will Greer in there, get a maturation started real early. I think this kid pans out, immediate impact.
For the record, I had a touchdown in Pee Wee, by the way, so I guess I beat both of you.
Bass,
right?
that doesn't count when the kids got 50 in high school.
Man.
All right, whatever. Just had to throw that in there. Let's get back to the real football, though. Charles Nelson, another guy that we were talking about. This has to be, Doug, the fastest guy, maybe in the entire I-4 corridor. Runs a 4.33. He's headed to Oregon. I mean, he's got to fit really well into that offense.
He does. He's the same size as DeAnthony Thomas, 5'9", 175, 180 pounds. He's a legit 4.3 speed. He joins Tony James from Gainesville, who you've also seen before. We've seen in the state finals. That kid's a flyer. But Charles is this year's version of Kermit Whitfield. And what he does on the field as well as off the field, but more importantly, he's an athlete. He's a true athlete. So you'll be able to stick him out there in the flat. You can hand the ball off to him. But he's one of several underclassmen. He will have to fight for some playing time out at Oregon, but I think this is an absolute steal headed out to Eugene.
So is there a certain position he stays at, or do you think he kind of can fit in at that running back, special teams wide receiver?
I think you probably see him at one of any 3 different spots. You see him in the slot. You see him line up as a second running back. Right. You even see him returning kicks. I think that's where he makes his mark to start, is returning kicks, because just like Kermit in the national championship game, you give him about 6 inches, he's gone.
He's a change of pace back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another guy, I mean, I liked his film, but but really coaches, they preach film and really
Yep.
watching what they do on tape. Preston, you were a defensive back at Notre Dame. You really know exactly what it's like to break down tape. One of the guys I've seen, DJ Law, Decorous Law out of Haines City. I
Yep.
mean, you plug that guy's tape in, and it's like watching a movie, man. Sit back and grab your popcorn.
That's it,
And he's
man.
impressive, right?
He is impressive. He's got size to go with it. What you like when you're watching his films is that he makes plays in small spaces. DJ has the ability to create space with his running ability. Can make plays in the open field. Can run guys over. He's very physical. 6 foot, 190 pounds. He can go. A 4'4" kid. Great young man. He makes things happen. It doesn't matter when it's coming from the defensive side of the ball. When you're looking at running backs, you say, okay, if I'm in the open field with this guy, which way am I going to tackle him? Do I hit him high? Am I going low? All right. He's not like the kid from
Jacquez Patrick.
Jacquez Patrick is going to run you over. All right. But what he can do, he's going to lower the shoulder. He's going to take this ball. He's going to be out of it. He is such a dynamic playmaker, dynamic, balanced, and can do a lot of different things on offense.
He just returned a kick return there on camera. He did that so many times.
So
this year.
many times. It's just like rewind. You watch the tape, and the college coach is going to watch the tape, and I'm done. You know,
Let me get this guy on my campus.
Go ahead. He's an offer kid.
Yeah.
Well, the defensive line, really, we've got some special players there as well. Doug, let's talk about Central Florida a little bit. At Winter Park, Trent Harris, he's now enrolled at Miami. At Lake Mary, Adam Torres, he's off to play for the national championship Knowles. What kind of players can these two guys be at the next level?
Well, I like the fact that Harris is an early enrollee. That means he's already on campus. He's already getting acclimated. He's well advanced ahead of where his teammates that are still ready to come in and have to get settled for the fall. He's 6'3", 235, which actually makes him the same size as the linebacking core they've got. But he's a true defensive end. So with the two defensive ends that they've got also recruited coming in from Booker T. Washington, what you want us to do is move him outside. You can now let Anthony Chickalo, Earl Moore, Jelani Hamilton on the inside, let those guys get D tackles, let them go ahead and eat. You got huge, and Harris is also a guy like McCord, Tyreek McCord, that you could, you know, Will Muschamp calls it the buck. You could get him out and have him playing a linebacker, or have him just put him down, put his hand in the ground and rush the quarterback.
Yep.
Well, there's some also special guys in the Tampa Bay area when you talk about that defensive line. Justice Reed, of course, comes to mind. So dominant.
Yep.
DeMarcus Christmas really carved the niche. He's been with FSU for a while. Describe to me when you see these guys on film, Preston, what you like about them.
Well, when you go to Justice Reed first, CCC, Clearwater Citrus Classic, what you really like about him is his change of direction. Can the guy turn the corner, track down the ball carrier from the backside? What kind of player is he going to be when a 6'4" lineman gets onto him and gets into his pass? Does he play with leverage? Yes, he does. Check, check, and check. You really like his aggressiveness, how he can rush the passer and defend against the run. Okay, so you're looking at a player who can step on the field in 2 years for the Gators and be a very productive prospect. He won't be a prospect, but a very productive player. DeMarcus Christmas on the interior, what you like about him is he is a gap plugger. Okay, he's going to take up 2 gaps, force the center and the guard to double down on him and open up holes for the running back. But take away holes for the running back. What he also does is plays well with his hands. He can engage and then disengage from the lineman, which you have to have on the interior defense. The way that, like you said, the way the defensive ends meet, the way the Bucks eat and the offensive line meet, is you have to have good interior defensive linemen, and that's what DeMarcus Christmas is.
Oh, he likes to eat up those running backs too, man.
There you go, like Krispy Kreme.
Well, Preston, it wasn't just the year of the defensive lineman, it was also the year of the offensive lineman. Tampa Bay and Orlando, really, they had so many special O-linemen. But when you look at the Bay Area, the two that stand out to me at the cream of the crop is Mason Cole, who's already enrolled at Michigan, and Corey Martinez, who's going to be playing for FSU. These two guys are just some special players, right?
Athleticism, all right? The word that is we use for skilled players is usually athleticism. But when you get an athletic offensive lineman that can grow into his body, you get a guy like Mason Cole. You get a guy who can run down the field 40 yards and continue blocking 1, 2, 3 guys down the field. You get a guy who is good in space, who can cut block, get to the down blocks and do everything that you can even pull from the tackle position. That's what the colleges like about Mason Cole. The young man at Tampa Catholic, Corey Martinez, is probably the most college-ready prospect. When I mean college-ready, that means he can come in right now and compete for a 2-deep spot on the depth chart for the Florida State Seminoles. So you like his technique. He is very sound in everything he does, his mechanics. So you got the very athletic Mason Cole. You have the very technique sound, technical guy in Corey Martinez. You got 2 of the best linemen in the state.
Well, I love Cole, too. He's that Big Ten guy. He grew up there, and now he's heading up to play for Michigan.
He's already, like you said, he's already up there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. So, you guys ready?
Let's do
it.
it.
You guys already primed and ready?
I'm warmed up.
Preston Jackson, Doug B, we're going to be sticking around. Lots more to get to today. Coming up, we're going to look at the guys who may not be going to the Alabama and Floridas of the world, but they can make an immediate impact once they step on campus. That's coming up next. And remember, we've got all-day coverage of National Signing Day. The Coaches Show is from 6 to 7. We'll hear from George O'Leary, Willie Taggart, Will Muschamp, Jimbo Fisher, all the coaches, plus a 2-hour wrap-up show from 7 to 9. We'll tell you where everyone is headed. Our High School Scoreboard Signing Day special. We'll be right back. Move over, Vernon Hargraves. Make room for DeAndre Porter. The Jefferson Star took home the Guy Toff Award, given to Hillsborough County's top football player. Porter was well-deserving, combining for nearly 5,000 all-purpose yards, 50 TDs this year. The most important stat is 4.0 GPA. He's the second Gator in a row to win the award, joining Hargraves. He joins a long list like Robert Marv and Nelson Aguilar, past winners that have won the award. Welcome back to our Signing Day special here on High School Scoreboard. Ryan Bass with you. Let's welcome back our recruiting analysts, Preston Jackson and Doug Pugh with us. Guys, we talked about the big namers, the 5 4-star guys. But now it's time to get into the players we think are going to have the biggest impact when they walk on campus and arrive there. Let's start with you, Doug. Who stands out to you? Because when I see guys across Central Florida, I think a guy maybe like Dakota Dixon is one that could step on campus right away and play.
Yeah, highly coveted as an athlete. I think he's probably going to end up playing defensive back wherever he decides to go. The kid brings a lot of intangibles on top of New Smyrna Beach asked him to do as well. Trey Rodriguez is another one that I feel is going to make an instant impact. 2,100 yards plus all-purpose this season as well, and that was after missing 3 games. 3,800 yards purpose rushing for his career. You put him together with Alonzo Smith, baby Frank Gore from Dwyer, and that's one heck of a running back class for Florida Atlantic. And Garrett Johnson from Kentucky adding the dimension that Kentucky has. You know, Jeff Badette from Freedom out of Orlando, JoJo Kim from DeLand, they have that size and ability to catch and run out of the backfield. But at 5'9", 160, everybody's looking for that Scooter Bug. They're looking for that Charles Nelson. They're looking for the Kermit Whitfields. And that's what Johnson brings as that dimension to the Kentucky offense.
As we mentioned earlier, Preston, you played DB, and there's some pretty good guys maybe that could step on campus right away and have an impact, right?
Right now, you're talking Kyle Gibson, all right, and Devin Abraham, Eastlake and Arnwood, respectively. Guys who are going to push for playing time right now as true freshmen when they walk on campus. You like guys who can take away the center of the field. They're ball hawks, like you can see right here with Kyle Gibson in the state championship with a great play, ball skills in the air, and guys who are going to make the quarterback think twice before throwing that ball in the middle of the field. Devin Abraham on the same side is good with his feet. He's got good hips. He's disciplined. Those guys are going to compete right now.
Of course, Kyle Gibson headed to UCF. Devin Abraham, as you see here, it's so short, but he plays a big-time game. He's headed to USF. We'll see those two guys match up against each other. Doug, for you in Central Florida, any defensive guys you think that can make an impact early?
Love Greg Gooch and Davin Pierce. Davin Pierce is going to Cincinnati. He's going to make that staff very, very happy at 6'2", 180, and the guy knows how to find the ball. He's a ball hawk. Even though he played wide receiver, they've got him listed as a wide receiver in terms of his recruiting. I think he sticks and plays cornerback because he was so productive for Dr. Phillips. And Gooch at 6'3", 245, it's very tough to understand why he wouldn't be making an instant impact for either Cincinnati or Iowa State.
Yeah, I don't know why no schools in state really jumped on that kid because he is a ball player. All right, there's always guys around the area who are overlooked. You know, those hidden gems. We're going to get into the players you may not know of now, but you're definitely going to hear from when they arrive on their campuses. The under-the-radar players are next, coming up on our Signing Day special here on High School Scoreboard. Welcome back to our Signing Day special. Thank you so much for sticking with us. I'm Ryan Bass, joined by our analysts, Preston Jackson and Doug Pugh. So, guys, we have already talked about the top guys who can make an impact right away when they step on campus. Now let's get to those sleepers, the one that maybe have been overlooked in their recruiting. Let's start with you, Preston. Who catches your eye here in the Bay Area for guys that, hey, these big-time colleges just really missed out on?
This is Brujan Barner, Lakewood 2014 safety, all right? Nobody knew about this kid. All you saw was a long, lanky, guy that could have been an outside backer at first, grew into a safety, started getting some smaller D1 interest, and now he started to get some SEC interest. 9 interceptions on the season, over 100 total tackles, means he was active in both the pass game and the run game. You go from Brujon Bonner, Anthony Davis, okay, the linebacker at Chamberlain, loved him, and then the quarterback, Alex Magoo, 6'3", 210 pounds, is going to be a good college quarterback. He has a great arm, very high football IQ, knows the game of football, great arm and touch. I really like those 3 players, the guys who flew under the radar, are going to be big-time college football players.
Magoo, really a guy who worked on his game over the years and really earned his spot at FIU. I think
4-year starter.
Yeah, I think he's really going to be a good one for FIU and Coach Turner. Let's turn to you, sticking with the quarterbacks in Central Florida. I know you loved Merritt Island's Nick Smith, but he's a guy that maybe he's a tweener. Is he going to play quarterback to the next level? And what about some others?
Yeah, Wyoming, he's committed to University of Wyoming, and he's decided that's where he's going to take his talents all the way out to Laramie, Wyoming. But, you know, Nick is actually the kind of kid that I would fit to, you know, I would picture him going out to Wyoming. He's going to join Deontay Gaines, who's actually going out to Colorado State, joining Charles Lovett. So there's spot for him out there. Looking at him right there, the kid should belong. He should actually be east of the Mississippi, probably south of the Mason-Dixon line somewhere. But Wyoming is a great fit for him. I also like Jarrell Antoine, the quarterback from Oak Ridge. I can't remember the number. The numbers are too high. I can't count that high for what he got. So I'm going to recite it. 3,305 yards, 30 touchdowns through the air, 770 yards, 7 yards rushing with another 6 touchdowns. He tied Tim Tebow's record in the Fleming Island game for 7 passing touchdowns. Arkansas State might be happy. You know, those are the ones that are really liking him. And, of course, I really, really like Jalen Graham that's going off to Southern Illinois from Eustis, linebacker. And Jamarcus Frederick is Tarian Folston and JoJo Kemp, and I don't know why people haven't seen that yet.
Well, and you're talking about breakout years, of course, for the quarterbacks, but no one had a better breakout year in Central Florida than Robert Thomas. I mean, the kid broke the Metro record, 2,300 yards rushing. How is this guy not on everybody's radar across the country?
Well, I mean, I'm going to just tell on myself. I had a very sobering discussion with the man to my right here when I was asking him why doesn't this kid have an offer. He's the 8A Player of the Year. And, you know, he put it in very simple terms. It doesn't always guarantee you the individual accomplishments don't always guarantee you a BCS spot. Now, the offense that Apopka played, that makes him a candidate for Towson, Georgia Southern, whoever wants him on that FCS level. And he'll be an elite FCS player, but sometimes even I can get caught up in the, you know, I don't like to be wrong very often, but I was wrong on that. I would assume I'd see him in Gainesville or Tallahassee.
Oh, he is a special, special player. All right, guys, well, guess what? It is never too early to talk about next year. Maybe we'll even get a break before then. Who knows? But anyway, coming up, we're going to look ahead to the class of 2015. Who stands out in Tampa Bay and Central Florida? Our guys give their best of the best. It's going to be a good class. Stick around. They're the next crop of stars. We spent all show talking about this year's seniors and what they could do at the next level, but we have an even better class right behind them. The 2015 class really has a chance to do something very, very special. Let's welcome back our recruiting analysts, Preston Jackson and Doug Pugh. Doug, I want to start with you because I think when you talk about the class of 2015, if you're scanning across the I-4 corridor, the biggest name that comes up is Jaquez Patrick. I can't even count how many offers this kid has now, but he is definitely going to be one of the most coveted recruits coming up.
Well, referencing the last segment, I can't count that high either. So I'd like to personally thank Jaquez for making my job very easily, making him the #1 prospect along the I-4 corridor. 2,100 yards last year, 30 touchdowns. He's already the Metro Conference leader. Over 5,000 yards, and he's still got his senior year left.
That's right.
And we were talking before, Preston, there's a difference between being a good running back and a great running back. There's a guy that can run the ball, and then there's a guy that runs the ball.
Yep.
And Jaquez is that guy. So I think that, get ready. The circus will be in town because he will probably be one of the most coveted running backs in the entire nation.
It's probably running back class for 2015, Preston, and we've got some special ones in Tampa Bay too.
Yeah, you're talking about Ray McLeod, and you bounce right over to Polk County with T.J. Simmons. Ray, 2,500-yard rushing season last year, 20-plus touchdowns, a kid who's got offers from everywhere, can play any position on the field, elusive, fast, tough, carried the ball over 300 times this year as a junior running back. TJ Simmons, another back that plays very well between the tackles, can be a zone back. Him and Ray together, there's not much difference except for Ray's elusiveness. Other than that, you're going to get speed guys, you're going to get tough guys, you're going to get players that can do a lot, catch the ball out the backfield, that block well in the pocket. So you really like those two guys being the top of the class or running back on this side.
And TJ, a 4-star recruit, but maybe 5-star with his character.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the best kids.
Oh, yeah. And you know better than everybody. He's a great kid.
He's unbelievable. Well, speaking of the cream of the crop in the area, the top 5-star and I think the overall #1 recruit, maybe even the state, is George Campbell.
Right.
What do you think his ceiling is, and is there a school that you think stands out for him right now?
He's not even scratched it. He hasn't scratched his ceiling. George Campbell has so much room for growth, and he's a young man that's very humble and is working on his craft. What you like about George is that he's hungry to get better. And his unselfishness. This season, he could have tanked it because he wasn't getting all the personal accolades and the stats that he did without Pete DeNovo, but he really put on for his team and did a lot. George, on the other hand, as him becoming a better receiver, he runs really, really good routes. When he hits his top end speed, he is one of the guys who's going to take the angle away from defense. So we really, us collectively and the nation, really like us some George Campbell.
In Central Florida, a guy that really carved a niche for him this year, Doug, was Chandler Cox out of Apopka. He filled in nicely at quarterback when Zach Darlington went out, but he's a true fullback, and really a lot of colleges are starting to really find out who Chandler Cox is.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing when your true fullback is 6'2", 225 and can still put up over 2,300 yards of total offense, whether passing or rushing. This is a kid that's going to be coveted. Already the big schools in state are after him. And you know, you talk about a guy stepping in, you know, George missing Pete DeNovo last year, Zach Darlington going down very first game of the year, and Chandler has to step in and run that offense. That offense is not an easy offense to run, even though it really call for a lot of stars to happen. So Chandler's definitely one of those kids that, I mean, everybody's going to want him. He's almost kind of like a Nick O'Leary to me. You could probably convert him into a tight end if you wanted to.
Plug man anywhere.
Any other guys, Doug, starting with you, that you look at that maybe we missed that are big names?
Well, it's going to be hard not to miss Martez Ivy. It's like Bigfoot and a grizzly bear had a child. This man is large. He's probably the #1 offensive tackle in the state of Florida. And keep your eye on defensive back A.J. Westbrook from Mainland, 6'2", 180. He had 4 of 11 Mainland's defensive touchdowns, 8 takeaways, 52 solo tackles from a defensive back position.
Quickly for you, Preston, guys you look at?
The top dog, Derwin James, Haines City. The guy who protects the passer with Jake Fruit Morgan at Plant. And the guy who rushed the passer, Byron Coward, Armwood. Those guys, including George Campbell, Ray Cloud, are top 5 for me.
Yeah, maybe Gibson going to UCF can open up a pipipeline for Coward. You never know.
You never know. They're working it. That Armwood connection goes right down I-4.
You never know.
Yes,
you
sir.
never know. Well, of course, we're going to remind you we have coverage of National Signing Day all day long. The In-State Coaches Show is from 6 to 7. You're going to hear from all the coaches around the entire state of Florida. Then a 2-hour wrap-up show from 7 to 9. We will show you where everybody is putting pen to paper and where they are signing. They'll be the stars of tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss it. Full coverage of National Signing Day coming up on BHSN. Of course, special thanks to both of these guys, Preston Jackson and Doug Pugh. You can take a breath, guys. We'll do this again soon. National Signing Day 2015, only 365 days away or something?
That's it. We'll be right back for
But
Christmas
who's
again.
counting? Seriously.
Yeah, who's counting? It was fun. Thanks so much to these guys for everything. Thanks so much to everybody for tuning in. We'll see you back here next week.